And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Mark. And Mark writes, with the amount of and / cost of streaming subscriptions rising, I've seen more and more people adopting the approach of jumping between streaming services to watch their favorite shows, subscribing for a month and then canceling. If the amount of people that do this is substantial, do you believe they might introduce contracts to guarantee a steady income for a 12 to 24-month period, like how cable used to be? All right, that comes to us from Mark. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, we were just talking about this the other day, about when you look at, and by the way, Extreme Nation sends in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you, Extreme Nation. When you look at all of the streaming services that are out there, and you start adding up the cost for all of them, and you understand that all of them got some really good stuff to watch on. It's not like all the good shows are on one or two streaming platforms. It can get expensive. Rob, it was brought up that some people like to do the thing, okay, we'll watch Mandalorian. When Mandalorian's done, I'll cancel Disney Plus. Okay, Watchmen is on HBO now. I'll subscribe to HBO for 1 month. When it's done, I'll cancel. And then jumping around. Now, I think a lot of people are too lazy to do that, which is what the streaming networks are counting on, but some people do. Now, Rob, Mark brings up a really interesting question. That is something that I remember you brought up yourself maybe about 6 months to a year ago, which is the question of, could we eventually see these streaming networks become more like a phone plan or a cable plan where it's like, hey, yeah, sign up, but you have a minimum 1-year commitment. Like when you sign up for our great rate of $12 a month, but you have to commit for 1 full year, 12 months, 24 months, whatever. Now, Rob, on yesterday's show, we talked about how we are still just in the beginning of this, and we are in what's called the acquisition phase for these streaming networks, where all they're worried about, they're not even worried about making money right now. They're simply worried about acquiring subscribers. They're just in the acquisition phase right now, and then they'll kind of settle out what their actual real prices are going to be and what their regular flow is going to be. But once we get past this part, Rob, once we get past this acquisition phase, could we be looking at a reality where now that streaming's become the norm, they're not trying to convince you to cut the cable, you've already done that, and now they've got you? Could we see these streaming services start to implement an annual contract for their streaming services? What do you think about this?
Oh, I think it's probably an inevitability. Because, having an annual contract is obviously a little bit more, from what I understand. I could be wrong about this. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but knowing if a company knows they're getting a certain annual fee, there's more stability there than a month-to-month plan. And if everybody was locked into an annual fee, they can make better decisions based on people not coming and going. There's a word for it, and I forget what it's called. The people that subscribe and then let go of the service and then resubscribe when something's on they want to watch. So I think it could happen. I think, and it probably will happen. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. This might be insane, but what if you decided to sign up annually for a service? What if these services colluded? Let's not call it collusion, but if you sign up for one annual fee from one service, maybe the services could band together and go, we'll give discounts on other services. Or if you sign up for 3 annual memberships at one time, you get a 10% discount on each service or something.
Well, we were talking about that yesterday too, right? Could we eventually somehow see these companies do that? Like maybe, a Peacock and a Hulu and a Crunchyroll or whatever, which I've just recently got acquired, but come together and say, hey, to get one of these for a year is $100, but for $240 you can have all 3, and then they divvy it up or something like that.
Disney's doing that, with what is it, Hulu and ESPN?
ESPN Plus. Of course, they all own all 3 of those, but they already give that kind of a discount.
Yeah, they're already doing that. And I have to say, for the entertainment that you're getting, I mean, I know you as a sports fan, having all of those things together at a reduced price is very appealing. With knowing how many Star Wars shows and Marvel shows, you want to keep Disney around, but I like Hulu and I like, ESPN would be fun to have too.
And here's the thing, once it becomes the norm, there's not going to be much we're going to be able to do about it. Like, because once Disney Plus says, okay, now instead of $8 a month, which we know that price is, that in a couple of years, that's going to sit around the $15 mark. That's just where it's heading. But like, say it's $10 a month. Okay, for a year, instead of paying $120, you're going to pay $110, but you got to commit for the full year. You got to pay $110 or, whatever per month. It's coming. I really do. I think you're absolutely right, Rob. I think this is absolutely coming, and we might as well get used to the idea that it is coming. Now, of course, the bottom line for me then, Rob, is that when they do something like this, does it still represent good value? And like, if I have to commit to $100 for the year, are you kidding me? That is still really good value. If HBO Max, it maintains their quality and all that kind of stuff, if I got to pay, $130 for the year, but I got to commit for the full year and everything like that, or 150, 160. Guess what? When you consider the amount of programming I'm going to watch, the amount of hours I'm going to be spending with that app, it's still good value. So to me, the question isn't really about whether they go to a 1-year contract, because I believe in the next 4 years, that's where they're all going to be. But the question really is, does that proposition still represent good value? And if they keep the prices within reason, it still does. I don't know. Question is, guys, what do you think about all this? Do you think it's inevitable that these streaming services will go the way of cable and cell phone service and say you got to sign up for a year-long commitment? Do you think maybe some will and some won't? Does that really bother you? Does it bother you a lot? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. And by the way, sends in a super chat badge. Sent in a super chat badge. Thank you for that. Sends in a super chat badge. Very clever there. All right, guys. With that down,